Hey everybody. Happy Sunday. It is Sunday. It is Sunday, April 2nd. We are already in April. What happened to March? I don't know. Sometimes it snows in April. I'm looking out my window right now, looking at 1.5 feet of new snow over like 2 feet of old snow. And anyways, I hope everything is good in the world wherever you may be. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest, the largest, the first, and the only true, fiercely nonpartisan grassroots group in the country, in existence, fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. So we're fighting for two things, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, which is way more important than anything else, is getting constitutional bankruptcy rights restored to student loans. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy is not important. We're not going to see loan cancellation. We're not going to see breaks on interest. We're not going to see anything meaningful from the student loan people in Washington, D.C. or Wall Street, unless and until we get the threat, the leverage of bankruptcy returned to us. The second thing we're fighting for is what I just said. The president has all the power needed to cancel every penny of federally owned student loan debt. That's 87% or so of all student loan debt by executive order. He can do this without Congress, without congressional approval, without congressional appropriation, without needing one dime from the Treasury, without adding one nickel to the national debt. And on balance, the taxpayers have already been repaid. So the taxpayers will be breaking roughly even when the president cancels, not $10,000, not up to $20,000. None of the nonsense that we've already seen from Biden or others. When the president cancels every nickel of federally owned student loan debt. This has to happen, guys. We've been looking at this problem very carefully for many years. And by all rational metrics, certainly the federal student loan program is catastrophically failed. The pandemic was the nail in the coffin. Even before the pandemic, 60% of everybody was not paying on their loans. That's going to go up to 80, 85, 90% whenever they try and turn the loans back on. What do you call it when 80% of the people in a lending program are not repaying their loans and don't intend to? Yeah, that's called error. That's called a failed lending thing. It's called nothing because it's really nothing. Like, does it even exist? Did a tree really fall in the woods if it made no sound? I don't know if that's the right analogy, but you get my point. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, we, the people, do not have to put up with this bullshit. This lending system is structurally unsound in the first place. It's unconstitutional. I kid you not. It's true. Read the Constitution, where you see the founders give Congress its powers in Article 1, Section 8. You'll see ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army, ahead of the power to create a judiciary and coin currency. You'll see Congress imbued with the power, actually the duty to create a uniform system of bankruptcies, a uniform laws concerning bankruptcies. And so here we are today. Student loans are the only type of loan in our nation's history to be uniquely stripped of this constitutionally enshrined protection. So, but as I said, guys, the lending system's failed. The best thing for all involved at this point is to erase the entire federal lending program, certainly return bankruptcy protections to all student loans, including all those that cannot be canceled by the president/Secretary of Education, and replace financing college in this country. It's come to that. And I'm very sorry, actually, to have to say that this problem has been allowed to grow to such menacing, nationally threatening proportions, but it has. We're seeing people commit suicide left and right lately. Just in the past few months, we've documented at least 3 cases. And this is from some of the people on our group, even including. So anyways, guys, we're glad that you found us tonight. Tonight, I just want to talk about how silly and ruinous, and actually how dangerous, silly and dangerous at the same time, the politics in this country have become against us. Before I do that, I have a couple of quick announcements. First of all, Look at these links here. We have to raise $8,000 to replace my van, the SLJ van. The old SLJ van is a very large paperweight at this point. The engine is fried. I'm thrilled to report that through that GoFundMe thing below there, we've raised $7,000 as of today, like exactly 7,000 the last time I checked. So we're only $1,000 away, guys, and I just would urge you, please, 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 let us finish this fundraiser today. Because, well, there's a number of reasons. Number one, we have to have a van. We have to travel the country. We've got to go to Iowa. We've got to go to South Carolina and Texas and Arizona and many other places that are very important for this fight over the summer and beyond. But also, while we're fundraising for this van, we're not fundraising for our normal bills. And like, for example, we've got a $300 email bill that just came in. We've got a $224 heating bill. We've got other stuff, an $80 phone bill. We've got bills, guys. We can do what we do on very little money, but we can't do it on nothing. And as we're fundraising for this van, I'm not paying any of our other bills. And so please, folks, please, please, please help us knock this thing out. As I said, we've got over 1 million members on this group. It shouldn't even be a big deal for me to fundraise, but alas, it is. And so just please help there. And, if you can even go to this other regular donate link as well, that would be very, very, very helpful at this time, guys. We're on very precarious ground here financially, dudes. And it's always been this way, but it's been acute since the beginning of the year. So another announcement, we've gotten around 18 or 19 letters to the editor published over the past 3 weeks or a month. We're asking everyone to get a letter to the editor of your local paper published over the next week, wherever you may be, and tell them either or both, return bankruptcy rights to student loans or cancel all student loans. Say what you want, use GPT, Chat GPT, or whatever AI platform you want to give you a running start, and but put in your own facts. Don't let Chat GPT do your facts because they get all the facts wrong. But whatever it takes, guys, letters to the editor are very, very easy to get done. They're very easy to get published. Anybody can do it, and everybody should be doing it for the student loan if you actually want student loan justice. So I'm going to look for your questions and comments here tonight. But tonight, I want to talk about the whole Democrat versus Republican trap that we find ourselves in. As I've said many times on this group, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or neither, you're very welcome on this group. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, and that's pretty much always been true. We deferred strongly to the Democrats when we first were formed in March 2005, 18 long years ago. But we have seen the reality behind the curtain. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the D versus R divide is an artificial construct, and it is used to shove people like us into the cracks. And that is just true. We don't trust either party at this point. In fact, we pretty much can't stand either party at this point. We hate them both for different reasons. So the Democrats are kind of the good cop. They wring their hands. They go, oh, yeah, we want to help you. We want to cancel student loans. And yeah, we want to return bankruptcy to student loans. And then when the Democrats actually get power, like last congressional session, where they controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency, all of a sudden, they forget about their long-standing promises to us to, for example, return bankruptcy rights to student loans. So what we get is this fake, not even trustworthy, probably designed to fail, feckless student loan cancellation gimmick from Biden right before the midterms. And bankruptcy goes down the road. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy, unless we get the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side, we're not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation or anything else that you want. We're going to be fucked. Pardon my French, but we are going to be screwed. Power only gives up power when it's taken from them. In fact, they never give up power. It has to be taken from them. And This is just true. The Democrats are not on our side, ladies and gentlemen. They're not. And last congressional session proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. They had a great bill. They had all the votes they needed. They had bipartisan support, believe it or not. They had Republicans on the legislation. And at the very last minute, despite the fact that they had a long-standing promise in the DNC platform to return bankruptcy rights to student loans, they made a conscious decision to betray us. And that's what they did. And they can't run and they can't hide from that fact. That happened. Now, on the other side, the Republicans are basically evil. Over the decades that we've been doing this, the Republicans have never been on our side. At least they've been honest about it, unlike the Democrats. So I suppose that's worth something, right? Like, who's worse, the enemy you know, or the enemy or the frenemy, right? But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, both parties have concocted this scam to divide the people. And it's the stupidest thing in the world, because I am here to tell you, fully half of our members are either Republican or independent. You wouldn't know that, reading speeches from Republican senators, congressmen, and others. You'd think that we're all a bunch of blue-haired liberal snowflakes. But I'm telling you guys, the truth is the opposite of that. In fact, more than 50% of student loan borrowers identify politically as either Republicans or independent. So we're not young, snowflakes either. In fact, people over the age of 50, which I am, now outnumber people under the age of 25 with student loan debt. And the older crowd, they owe 300% more than the younger crowd, despite having borrowed far, 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 far less many years, decades ago. So everything you see in the media, everything that you see about the D versus R nonsense, it's all nonsense, guys. It's people say the uniparty, and I tend to believe that. I think it is the uniparty. I think it's the elite, the elites in this, the elite wealthy people who control 90% of the resources or whatever. It is them wanting to perpetuate this problem. You wonder why cultural issues that don't cost rich people money, whichever way they go, are so strongly emphasized in the media, like you name it, gay, LGBTQ, trans, abortion, all these cultural issues that don't cost the rich people money, that does not upset the financial profile, the status quo financial profile, which works exceedingly well for the wealthy right now. They're paying less taxes now than I think they've ever paid, probably since the introduction of the income tax in 1911 or something like that. The wealthy in this country have never been in a better financial position. They pay very low taxes. They control the media, and they do, I can tell you firsthand. And they have long-standing investments, not only in student loans directly, but also in colleges and the whole student loan industry, the servicers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they want no changes. They want absolutely no changes. So as long as you continue to buy into the D versus R nonsense, we will be completely wrecked. You know, I had somebody today come up to me on Twitter and trot out the old, decades-long, well-worn, if you vote for a third party, you may as well just vote for Donald Trump. It was a liberal who said that. And I'm sorry, guys, but I blew a fucking gasket at that. I've heard that way too much. I will not be, and I hope that you agree, I will not be fucking held hostage by blue no matter who partisan pieces of garbage who only want to perpetuate a failed party that has betrayed us. And on the other hand, I will not listen to these ridiculous, what's the word? People who prey off of our fears, claiming that, the Democrats are communists and blah, 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 blah. I will not do that. I will not listen to any of these hardcore party, partisan uh, um, soldiers on Twitter who are only fighting for D's or R's. I'm done. I'm so fucking done with that. Are you not? Pardon my French. But anyways, I'm looking for your questions and comments right now, and I can give you any number of examples how people claiming to be liberals have screwed us, how people claiming to be conservatives have completely abandoned conservative principles in order to fight for this lending program. This is something that no liberal, no conservative could possibly like. The student loan scam is the worst big government monstrosity that is robbing us of our future wealth, stealing our futures from us. It's unconstitutionally constituted in the first place. Is it possibly unconstitutionally constituted? That's an interesting question in itself. Sorry, I'm kidding. But I'm done. I'm done with the blue no matter who crowd. I'm done with the communist scare people. I'm done with all that bullshit. You know, we don't have a party, guys. As somebody who cares about student loans, both parties have abandoned us. Make no mistake. That's true. They've betrayed us. We don't have a party to vote for. We may have candidates who say the right things and promise the right things, but you know, even still, fuck, man, I don't know, guys. You know, I don't know that anybody with a D or an R in front of their name is trustworthy at all because, you know, like Marianne Williamson, for example, she's running as a Democrat. She says, yes, I will cancel student loans by executive order. I think she said that. I'm not sure, but she seemed like she wanted to say that. You know, even Bernie Sanders tomorrow could say, I will cancel student loans by executive order. And by the way, Bernie Sanders has never, ever, ever said that, by the way. That's true. And would it be trustworthy? I don't think so, guys. I don't think it is. I think that at the end of the day, these people toe the party line, and what the party tells them to do is what they will do. So you will see, I think, and I think this is probably true with like Marianne Williamson's rhetoric. Look at anything that she's written down, actually published under her own name or under her own campaign. And if you can find any language that says unambiguously, I will cancel loans, all of them, or even some of them, by executive order, I'd be surprised. You know, look at Biden's campaign website from the 2020 elections. Nowhere, nowhere in Biden's campaign rhetoric, stuff that they published under their own campaign, did you see any pledge to actually cancel any student loans by executive order? You didn't see it. So forewarned is forearmed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna look for your comments now. I'm sorry to be lagging on this, by the way. You know, in general, I'm a very optimistic guy, but marrying ourselves to either political party is a very bad thing to do. And I feel very optimistic that I am correct in telling you that. You know, I know a lot of people feel weird, you know, rejecting both political parties because everybody likes to have some kind of a tribe, right? Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the new tribe is just us, guys. We don't trust either party, and we don't trust politicians from either party further than we can bowl them. So that's years and years of very hard-earned wisdom talking there. We've been doing this for 18 years, ladies and gentlemen. So yep. So forewarned is forearmed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking for your comments now. I hope everybody's doing well out there in the world, by the way. So yep. Oh, I see we have quite a few comments here tonight. Hey, Laura Gelsween is with us tonight. Hey, Laura. Laura says it is a profit-driven education system. Well, you know, the cruel irony behind all that, Laura, is that most of the college, and make no doubt, there are certainly some for-profit colleges out there. They're disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. But, you know, most of the colleges have non-profit status. The Department of Education, like, when has the federal government ever made a profit on anything? So you're wrong on that, Laura, but at the same time, you're absolutely right. You're wrong, yet you are absolutely right. Because whether they pay taxes or not, make no mistake, the bottom line is all that is important to the colleges, certainly absolutely, certainly to the Department of Education, which controls 87% of the debt. The Department of Education was set up to run like a business, ladies and gentlemen. And I do not care who the appointed figureheads of the Department of Education happen to be today. I don't care who the Secretary of Education is. I don't care who the Undersecretary is. I don't care who the COO is. In other words, the presidential appointees that come and go with differing administrations. Is the unelected, unappointed bureaucrats that have burrowed themselves into the pillars of the Department of Education that have absolutely no desire or intentions of actually canceling any loans, of actually returning bankruptcy rights to the loans. They are guarding their cash cow like the most, like, pick your analogy. I'm not going to trot out any examples, but they are guarding their cash cow fiercely. Their predatory cash cow. In fact, for many years and even today, I suspect the people at the Department of Education are the envy, maybe second only to the Department of Defense. They are the envy of Washington, D.C. No other federal agency is sitting on a $1.6 trillion loan portfolio. No other federal agency has the ability to make massive profits off of a loan scam like the Department of Education. You know, the people in Washington, the agency people, they fight first and foremost for their agency. If they fight successfully for their agency, they get paid more. And who knows, all the other little corrupt side deals they have going in their personal lives, maybe with their family members and other benefits, legal and illegal, they may have going for themselves. We've uncovered many, many illegal benefits over the years, by the way. And yet the last person to actually be arrested at the Department of Education was well over a decade ago. It was like 2008, I think. So the corruption in Washington, D.C. runs deep and wide, and it has taken over the Department of Education. Make no mistake. The Department of Education is not fighting for us, guys. They're fighting against us. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. You know, I see people on our group who are talking about how, oh, I'm going to make it through IDR. I only have X number of payments to make it through public service. And I'm like, no, guys. The Department of Education will always do whatever it can possibly do to not cancel loans. Even with this new revised public service thing, guys, the cumulative success rate, if you can even call it that, the actual success rate of people who have tried for the various income-driven repayment programs, it's like not even 2%. So in other words, the failure rate, the number of people who are kicked out of those programs, who fall out of income-based repayment, pay-as-you-earn, revised pay-as-you-earn, the failure rate is in the high 90 percentile. Like the income contingent repayment program, ICR, right? That's been around since 1995. So nearly 30 years ICR has been around. Loans were supposed to start being canceled for ICR, either 2015 or 2020. Anyways, years and years ago. The last time I checked, 32 people. 32 people. You could fit 32 people in my cramped little room in my little shed here in Wisconsin, out of millions who have tried for ICR. So guys, do not trust the government. At least do not trust the Department of Education at all. Not only are they not trustworthy, they are hugely the opposite of that. They are snakes. They are the student loan swamp. Now, other federal agencies, I'm sure they do a swell job. I'm sure the Department of Veterans Affairs does a great job taking care of veterans. I'm sure the Department of Agriculture really helps its farmers. And, you know, I'm not speaking universally about our federal government. I am speaking about the Department of Education, and even within that, the Office of Federal Student Aid. It is completely and absolutely corrupted and captured, and they are out to get us. They want no changes. So forewarned is forearmed. Elite politicians. Yeah, I don't know any unelite politicians at this point, Laura. I could maybe point to people like Matt Gaetz, who's a Republican. But anybody who's been in Congress more than about 4 years, they're kind of hopeless. Has been my experience. Like even the youngest people in Congress, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? Has she ever said anything about returning bankruptcy to student loans? No, I've never heard her say anything. Not a thing. I've heard her point to Joe Biden's student loan cancellation and go, yeah, or cancel student loans through Congress. Let's pass a law through Congress to cancel student loans. That's ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing in the world. In order for Congress to cancel loans, they have to raise money. If Congress wanted to cancel all federal student loans, they would have to raise $1.6 trillion in new taxes so that they could take and give that money to, by and large, the Department of Education so they can cancel the loans. That's the stupidest thing in the fucking world. Pardon my French. The taxpayers paid for these loans many years ago. There's no reason for the taxpayers to be forced to pay not just twice for these loans, but far more than twice, with interest, fees, and other stuff that's accrued onto the loans, way over and above the original amount that they paid when they originally made the loans. So Congress is they're just a waste. Now we still need Congress, guys. Make no mistake. We need Congress to return bankruptcy rights to student loans. And I honestly don't know how long I'm going to be saying that for, guys. At some point, and frankly, I thought that we were at that point in I'd say the heat of the pandemic, like around November 2020. In November of 2020, I was saying, guys, it's too late to return bankruptcy to student loans. I said that, and I meant it in November 2020. We had a Republican Congress back then, and there was no way in hell we were ever going to get the right returned. And we may come around to that exact same position again, because lo and behold, we have a Republican House now, and the Democrats are just worthless. They already betrayed us. But we are going to proceed in the best of good faith to pursue the proper solution to this problem. And the proper solution to this problem starts with the people getting the leverage of bankruptcy returned. Because as I said, we will not see Joe Biden do any meaningful student loan cancellation beyond this nonsense that he's already done, which may not even happen at this point. We will not be seeing more than that from Joe Biden. We will not, as long as the threat of bankruptcy remains gone. Now, come sometime in the next 4 to 5 months, I think it'll be pretty clear whether the Republicans are going to do anything on bankruptcy and student loans or not. And when that key question answers itself, then we will proceed thusly. If the Republicans are not going to return bankruptcy in the House, then yeah, it's going to be like, for us as a group, it'll be like, yeah, fuck it. Burn your loans. Burn your loans. And even today, right now, I'm saying burn your loans. In my humble opinion, it is not only unwise, it's unpatriotic to pay another dime back into your federal student loans. But, that becomes a very dicey proposition for a lot of people. I understand. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people don't want to lose their jobs or their licenses. I get that. I totally get that. And in fact, the fact of the matter is, whenever they try and turn these loans back on, 80% of the people are not going to pay. They're just not going to. 20% of the people will pay for the reasons I just said. But, this becomes a much easier problem to solve when we get bankruptcy back. When we get bankruptcy back, the president pretty much has to cancel loans broadly, widely, meaningfully, maybe even totally, because I guarantee you guys, Joe Biden or no other president wants to preside over the largest wave of bankruptcy filings in American history. No president wants to be that guy. So the founding fathers, love them or hate them, they were pretty smart when they called for bankruptcy in the Constitution, guys. And that's the one lever of power that is realistically achievable for us right now. But as I said, if the Republicans events otherwise, if people like if the Ohio Jim Jordan, the Judiciary Chairman in the House, if Jim Jordan and his staff make it plainly clear that they're not going to do a damn thing on bankruptcy, then I think that's going to be the very messy unwinding of this lending system. And who knows where that'll go, guys. I particularly am not a big fan of civil and social unrest. I hope that you're not either. I'm not particularly a big fan of bloodshed and suicides and, people doing mass shootings and stuff like that. But, we're at the point now where the gate to that could well be opened. And it kind of all depends on whether the Republicans get their shit together or not between now and the end of this congressional session. So hopefully, I think that we should know by July or August. And we'll see how that plays out. We're good whichever way it goes, guys. Make no mistake. We're fine with the chaotic ending, with the disgusting, terrible ending. And we're even better with the orderly, civil solution to this problem, which begins with the return of bankruptcy to these loans. And if the Republicans know what's good for them, they will realize what I said at the very top of this broadcast, and that is that distressed student loan borrowers, that is 85% of all student loan borrowers are distressed. More than half of them are Republican or independent. So we're talking about the Republican base here. You wonder what happened to the red wave during the last presidential election, and certainly during the midterms. Student loans is what happened to the red wave. The Republicans are idiots. And if the Republicans continue to do nothing on the student loan issue, most notably return bankruptcy rights, they will continue to see ever wider, ever deeper losses at the ballot box, even if they try and cheat, which I kind of think they will now. But yeah, elite politicians are the problem, Laura. I would urge everybody, just think long and hard about if you're a Republican, what has the Republican Party ever actually done for you? And same thing if you're a Democrat. What has the Democratic Party ever actually done for you? Like, you may have other ideas on other issues, but I can certainly tell you on the student loan issue, they are two sides of a very terrible stained coin. They're both against us. And as I said, last congressional session proved that to us. Hey, Lisa Ansel is with us from Los Angeles. How are you, Lisa? I'm sorry to be lagging on all of your comments. Lisa says, hi, everyone. Remember, the way to counter the darkness of the swamp is to shed light with the truth of this crisis. I love that, Lisa. Sunlight cures everything. Like, all we ever do on this group is point to the truth. That's all we've ever done. I swear to you, it's true. Like, all the claims that we make, if you go to our Medium platform, and you see all the articles that we've written there, almost all of those articles are based on nothing more than publicly available, easily vettable federal data, usually the Department of Education data. And we rarely stray from that because there's a lot of bad research out there. All we do is tell the truth. That's all we've ever done. That's all we ever will do on this group. And our argument is absolutely unassailable. The only way that the bad guys defeat our argument is to scurry away like cockroaches when the lights are turned on everywhere we go. And I kid you not on that. When we first got this band together back in 2006, we were invited by the Education Writers Association of America to speak on a panel alongside Sally Mae, who at the time was the largest and most the biggest bully on the block in student loans. They ran the whole thing. We said, yeah. I said, yeah, I'll be there. I will be there in Chapel Hill, North Carolina on whatever date it was, sometime springtime, 2007 or summertime. I was like, yep, I will be there. And I came and I showed up. Sally Mae pulled out of the entire conference. I kid you not. Sally Mae pulled out of the entire conference. So if that's not a little David and Goliath story, I don't think it. The bad guys are way more afraid of us than we should be of them, ladies and gentlemen. That's true. So yes, sunlight and the truth, it will set us free. I don't know who said. I'm still looking to see who said that. I think Jesus said that. Did he not originally? But the truth will definitely set us free, guys, and that's what we do. And so if you like being in the truth business, you should join us. Lisa also says policy determines votes, not identity politics. Right. Good policy makes good politics. And come on, guys, how long are we going to allow these the gun, the God, the gay, the abortion, these social issues? I'm not saying they're not important, but how long are we going to allow these issues that make literally no difference to the bottom line of the wealthy elites in this country? How long are we going to let those issues? And those are also issues, in my humble opinion, that the federal government is not very well designed to solve. How long are we going to let our elections, or certainly your vote, depend on these cultural issues? I think it is a great hijacking of our politics, and I blame the media first and foremost about that. But it's the people behind the media, it's the people controlling the media, who really need to be held accountable. I don't know if we have a revolution coming in this country or not. It's hard to say. But whatever we have coming on this student loan massive movement, I don't know what else you could call us at this point, when 38 million federal student loan borrowers and when 7 million private student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans. That's something big. I don't think it's a revolution, but whatever it is, I don't think it's going to be televised, guys. We have seen the media become absolutely terrible on this issue since, it used to be halfway decent, about what you would expect. Like honest reporters, they see a big story and they go, "Huh, that's a big story," and they write it and they report it, and that happens. That doesn't happen anymore, guys. That does not happen anymore in the media. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes. 2006, we were the basis of a cover story in Fortune magazine. 2005, we've done a lot of media, and I can tell you that the days of the media being even minimally adequate, unbiased, and fair, and in search of just important truth, that's all gone away, except for maybe the weathermen at the various news organizations. I still kind of trust the weathermen. Everything else is completely fucking ruined. It's completely slanted. And that I can't even think of a channel that's not slanted at this point. It's terrible. It's terrible, guys. The facts are not even important anymore. And it's the wealthy people controlling these media platforms, which we have to thank for that. Don't forget that. Lisa also says, don't forget how much damage the neoliberal school of thought, aka Larry Summers, has destroyed us. Yes, absolutely. I don't know if you can blame neoliberalism on liberals. I think both parties had a part in that, but certainly the federal loan system has been turned into a license to steal by for-profit corporations. And while that has changed since 2010, the old for-profit Wall Street guys are still major players in the game. So Sallie Mae may not be loaning the money anymore, but they're servicing the loans. They own collection companies to get rich on defaulted student loans, a huge moneymaker for the industry. You would never think, but indeed it is. On and on and on. Yeah, Larry Summers ought to be ashamed of himself. Joe Biden ought to be ashamed of himself. This was a great character test for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, among all living, serving federal politicians, he deserves more credit than any other living, serving politician in the federal government or the state or any other governments, for the student loan scam, the student loan catastrophe. Joe Biden. And, if Joe Biden was to just be honest at one point and come up and say, ladies and gentlemen, I can't do this any longer. I got to tell you, we really screwed up on the student loan thing. And I deserve a lot of credit for that. We thought taking bankruptcy away was the right thing to do back then. And I was wrong. I was wrong. And here's what I'm going to do to fix it. If we got something like that from Joe Biden, that would be what America needs. We're not going to get that. I don't see us getting that. If we were going to get that, we probably would have got it before the last election. or we would have got it, maybe even gotten it before the presidential election. Mark, Lisa says, Mark Goldwine even blocked me from Twitter. Mark Goldwine is a pathetic young man, I have to say. He runs the Center for a Responsible Federal Budget. He gets his paychecks from two different schools. University of California in Washington, D.C. I don't even know the University of California had a branch in Washington, D.C., but apparently they do. And I think Johns Hopkins University as well. This guy gets his paycheck from the student loan, directly or indirectly from the student loan swap. He blatantly lies about student loan cancellation being a huge cost to the taxpayers when that is absolutely, provably, utterly false. And he relies on dishonest, I would say fraudulent accounting models that are trotted out, including by government agencies like the GAO and the CBO. Mark rests his whole thing on accounting gimmicks that Enron executives employed back in the late 90s. It's called fraud. Enron people went to prison for that. I don't think any GAO or CBO people are going to go to prison for this, but what they're doing is, for all intents and purposes, exactly the same thing. Lisa says, national boycotts of any institution that is either an active participant in the debt trap like SoFi or a supporter of the status quo are definitely appropriate and proportional. I agree. Boycotting Home Depot also is pretty smart right now. Bernie Marcus is behind all the lawsuits against student loan cancellation. But again, guys, the whole thing is just fake from the get-go. We don't get tied up in these stupid partisan food fights. We don't do it. The Supreme Court case was a manufactured controversy in the first place. Whichever way the Supreme Court rules really doesn't matter, guys, because Joe Biden's lame cancellation was lame in the first place. So why are we going to allow ourselves to be hijacked by that Beltway contrived, stupid tempest in a teapot? It's rearranging deck chairs on a sinking ship. So, okay, guys, I feel like I've gone on a long time tonight. Yeah, we're shooting for 45 minutes. But I will only say, if you forget everything I said tonight, remember, we need you. We need you in this fight. I'm not a talking head. We're just normal people on this group, and we will be buried, baffled, and bamboozled by this bullshit. Pardon my French. If you don't help us, and that's the most important thing I will say tonight. If you don't help us and fight for yourself, we will be crushed. And there's no telling where this ends, guys. What they did to student loans, they could do to other loans, and they will. This is the camel's nose under the tent. This is a very important battle that we're engaged in. Whether you have student loans or not, quite frankly, but I'm guessing pretty much everybody watching me does have student loans. You got to help us. If you want to actually solve the student loan problem, you've got to help us. We need you. You have no idea how important you could be. I would urge you, in the strongest of terms, go to our website, studentloanjustice.org. Do the past 2 weeks worth of our daily actions and get into the habit of doing our daily actions nearly every day. We do like 3-4 daily actions per week. But do the past 2 weeks. It won't take you long. I don't think it will take you even more than like maybe even a half an hour. It may take a little longer. You got to have a Twitter account. Sorry, guys. I hate Twitter. Everybody hates Twitter. Join, do your daily action. Also, go to our website. Join your state chapter group. We need you there. All politics are local. Our state chapters are starting to get pretty strong. They're starting to really start doing things. We've got some very good people leading many of those states. We need good people leading all of our state chapters. Some of them are small, like 12 or 15 people. Some of them are really large, like I think 400 or 500 people at this point in California. Join your state chapter group. And if you're inspired and you're feeling kind of heroic or whatever, think about leading your state chapter. We need inspired, passionate leaders. And so maybe the last thing I'll say tonight is what I said at the very top. And I'm sorry to have to harp on this, guys, but it's just so important. Please just donate for the van, please. We're $7,000 out of $8,000. If 50 people donate $20, we'll be done. If 20 people donate $50, we'll be done. We'll be able to start shopping for our new van. and it's going to be kind of a big deal. We're gonna have to fly somewhere and get the van, because I'm not buying a van up here in Wisconsin. The used vehicles up here are just fucking terrible. They're all rusted out. So we're gonna have to fly to somewhere like, I don't know, Arizona or Atlanta or Florida or somewhere in the South where they don't salt the roads. But the sooner we can knock out this fundraising, the sooner we can get that done. And it's just so important. So please, if you care at all, just please join the 240 people who have already kicked in, and just help us get this sucker done. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow night. I appreciate everything that you guys are out there doing, and I hope to have some great success stories to brag on you all about going forward, particularly those letters to the editor. So get ready, guys. We've got a really big fight against us. The future is wide open on this. In the immortal words of legendary fictional hero John Connor, you have no idea how important you are, and that's true. So take it to heart. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good luck. God bless. And Godspeed, everyone.